Welcome to Investors Hangout, brought to you by Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Funds and Value Research. Children hold a very important place in the hearts and lives of their parents. What should they be doing to ensure a better future for them? Therein, a question which is utmost at the minds of parents like you and me. How can I have a robust financial plan for my child?
Two steps to it. One is that how to secure, because of course the short answer to your aspirations in terms of how to accumulate savings so that you can save enough for at least child's education. That is the real investment. Investment of accumulation of financial investments so that it can be invested in his future, or impactful difference to his future. So basically, and education is getting expensive by the day. So having reasonable, and it can have a wide range. So having enough, reasonable preparedness for that, being prepared fully for that. That apart, many parents will also be at a stage that they will have all that intent, and but they may not have a contingency plan. So what steps to take so that just in case you are not around. There are two steps to this. One is having reasonable preparedness as and when the financial, having reasonable financial preparedness as and when that money is needed for your child's education or any other goal. That apart, and in fact, it is a priority. Most parents, who write to us for their planning for their lifetime, important goals, retirement definitely comes first. But just as important is preparing for your child's education, or having enough financial preparedness for that. I think accumulating savings or investing your savings so that you have enough money for the money needed in future, that's a pretty straightforward thing. That is simple compounding, and you doing your SIP in the appropriate fund and making some changes, increasing your investments over time as your income rises. That is one step. More importantly, I think the crucial aspect which most parents ignore is, and primarily because it is not a great input when you're thinking of money, that just in case you're not around, a contingency plan. Have you done something so that your child's education as you have planned can still happen? And as we keep suggesting that you should have a term plan for your for your financial dependence. So factor that in. When planning your term plan purchase, and at an early age, when you buy a term plan, at a young age for a young parent, the premiums are very low. You can buy a big term plan so that something happens to you, your family will get a large sum of money, and the premium for that is very low because the risk considered for a very young person to die is considered low. So it's considered as a very low probability event. That is why it is cheap. So factor that in. If you have a home loan and the outstanding loan component, that should be very much a part of it. The financial requirement of your family for income needs, that should be part of it. Educational needs of your children should also be part of it. And as you start accumulating your savings, maybe over a period of time, the need for that term plan will decline. You can reduce that amount over a period of time. So plan that first. I think that comes first for young parents. And then comes planning for investing to save for your child's education.
Okay. There are so many investment plans that are there in the market. Now, how do I as a parent compare them and find out which is most suitable for me?
Yes, there are ones, Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana for the girl child, and it is considered to be safe, but it's not going to get you a lot of money. I think don't compare them, ignore them. Because because there are 3-4 kinds. You have the insurance plan which are targeted at it's an emotional trap. They are low on return, high on expenses, and you get a very blurred understanding of why they are actually low yielding or what you'll get, because you get the insurance and it's very difficult to objectively dissect it and see that what the benefits you get, what the cost of it, and what is because the moment you can combine insurance and investment, you can't evaluate anything in a very measurable way, in a very objective way. So ignore that. Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, absolutely safe. It will get you 8.5%. It will be tax free, but 8.5% is not good enough, because it is actually a big opportunity loss if you are investing for next 10, 15, 20 years and you are locked into something which will yield you 8.5%. I would like to earn 15% because I am compromising on the liquidity. It is a long-term goal, and in between, if it goes up and down, I don't care. But making sure that it will generate more money. So fixed income, long-term fixed income investments is a bad idea. So that is why Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana or PPF should be avoided. Likewise, there are mutual funds which are young citizens fund or something like that. They are also hybrid funds. I think investors should be guided by the time frame, and that is it. That is all there to it. All your investments should be guided. For investments of 5 years and more, take risk. Take something which is volatile but will generate more return. And because you are investing for this term and more, the risk comes down. In any 5-7 years time period, investors never lose money. In any 4-5 days, 5 months, investors lose money. So markets go up like this, but over a period of time they go up. And you reduce the possibility of losing money when you invest for 5 years and more. So ignore these. They are an emotional trap, because there is a name which is, the state of financial literacy in India is so low that something which is combined with a child fund or a children fund or a children plan, people get attracted to it, but it may not be the best idea.
So you have told our viewers which all not to go in for, but concentrate, if you have time by your side, invest in regular equity funds. Right?
Regular equity
and
funds
through
for 5
SIP.
years. Yes, you should have your child plan devised by you. You should have control on that, and it does not require serious effort. All you need to do is choose a good equity or a balanced fund. Do your SIP, and make sure that you are not taking that money out. You resist the temptation of drawing on that money, and keep doing that, and have a methodical exit plan. Give an instruction that you need 1.5 lakh rupees. Right. So as and when you need the money, 1.5 years before that, give an instruction that at what pace you will need the money. Admission fee, monthly tuition fee, 8 years from now. So for 16 years, you don't need to do anything. And after that, start withdrawing it. Having enough is important. And I think the plan which I am suggesting will make sure that you have more than enough.
Okay. So that's something. In my mind, I'm going through the calculations. All right. But what is also on my mind is about this contingency plan. I would like to have more details from you, because if I'm investing adequately for my, as financial requirements of the future, why should I have a contingency plan? What should it contain? What should I be careful of?
No, one is that, you should simply have a larger term plan. You should have 2-3 term plans which is targeted, because our life does not move financially. It doesn't move in a very nice straight line. In early stages, you don't have any savings, you don't have any investment, and your expenses are higher, and all your financial dependents will be depending on you while you have absolutely no capital. So you can start investing from now on. But if something happens to you, they will be left in the lurch. They will be left high and dry. So how to do that? Have a term plan. Have a term plan for your financial dependence. Have a term plan for your child's education needs. And as you gradually progress towards accumulating your savings in a manner that it becomes reasonable value, then stop putting that premium. You don't need that term plan. So look at you are effectively buying financial security for your dependents, including their educational needs and their financial dependence in terms of income, by having these term plans. So a simple plan of buying a term plan while you don't have your accumulated investments is important.
So however small it may sound, you need to nominate properly in this term plan, and you need to choose a guardian.
Yes, absolutely. Your family and your children and your spouse are the natural, they're the natural beneficiary, or they're the nominees, and that is what it is meant for.
So what Dhiren is saying, plan carefully and do have a contingency plan in place, and more importantly, invest in regular equity funds through SIP so that your child has a good invested and should I say independent future in hand.
Yes, I would say that having enough for the education, which I think it's a rightful, and being reasonably prepared for that is crucial. And a plan like this, and anybody who has thought about it 10 to 15 years before that, a very small contribution, because the magic of compounding is visible over this period. It might look very small, that a small amount, 2,500 rupees going towards a goal, but in 15 years time and in first 2-3 years you will not figure out that what is going on. But the moment that 5 years of accumulation, and when that generates returns, when once you have accumulated your capital and then you are contributing to it, it becomes a very sizable amount. And so start small, plan for it, and doing it over this period. Maybe it could well be a SIP. I have come across people who have succeeded in accumulating sizable accumulation for their child's education by just doing an annual SIP. On their birthdays, all the gifts is invested, and in 5-7 years time it becomes very meaningful.
Okay, so now we move on to the Q&A part of our program, and the first question is from Sandeep, and he writes, I have a lump sum of 40 lakhs to invest for my son's higher education due in 10 years time. Where should I invest this money so that it grows to 1 crore in 10 years?
Growing 40 lakh rupees in 10 years to 1 crore is not a big deal, because in 10 years time it can happen even with fixed income. I think maximizing return, two things to do. One is take a conservative route. It's a large sum of money. Don't invest this money at one go. Maybe invest in an equity income fund or a balanced fund. Spread this investment over the next 1.5 years to 2 years. Okay. Because you will be investing, you will be averaging your investment, and spread your investments over the next 2 years. Let it be at work for another 8 years. And by doing this gradual movement to equity, will make sure that you are not left with you are not catching the market high. And so that's it. A balanced fund or an equity income fund. If you're extremely conservative, equity income fund. If you can take little bit chances for higher return, maybe. And also, mind you, most of the time we think of current cost as also the future cost. If you think that the kind of education that you are planning for your child is costing rupees 1 crore today, it will not cost 1 crore 10 years from now.
1 crore 20, 1 crore 40.
You never know. It could well be 2.5 crore. So because that's because the inflation in education, the way it has changed in last 25 years, from moving from only government government controlled or provided by the government, the higher education, from there to a mix of things, opportunity to study abroad, the private education in India, and even the rising cost of government education, higher education in India. So these things, and the living expenses which comes alongside, because you might be going for education at a place where the child might have to live independently. So the living cost and aspirational cost. So all of that makes up as a very sizable chunk. You need to so having more will not hurt. So
certainly. Okay, Sayan has written a very interesting question. Which is the best aggressive investment option for someone with a horizon of 30 years? Mutual funds, ETFs or index funds?
Mutual funds as compared to ETF or index fund, because I look at ETF and index fund as the same. ETFs are just traded on the market, and index funds are operated as open-end fund, but almost ETFs are also open-end funds, also mounted on an index fund, and the kind of options available in India. But just not mutual fund, equity mutual fund, and maybe for higher return, maybe a mix of small cap, mid cap, and a multi cap fund only. And but it's easier said. The kind of volatility that you see in the small cap fund, mid cap fund, it's better to appreciate it. So because investing is one part, sticking through an investment plan over the next 30 years is a completely different story. When you see the value in the interim going down by 30% in 6 months time, it gets very difficult to stick around. So configure yourself. I think it requires a psychological, gearing up. And so do start your investment plan in, small cap, mid cap and multi cap funds, and carry on with 3 years. And earlier you learn it, better it is, because this plan to fructify in 30 years time frame, you will get at least 2-3 market cycles where you will regret it, and only at the end of the tunnel you'll find that, okay, you did a good job.
Okay. Mohammed says that I have taken a LIC policy for which I will be paying rupees 1 lakh per annum as premium for the next 20 years. The maturity value is likely to be rupees 74 lakhs, and it is also providing a risk cover of 40 lakhs. Is it a good investment?
If it serves their purpose, and 74 lakh 20 years from now will not be worth 74 lakhs. In today's term, it will be something like 1/4 of what it is, 74 lakhs. So in today's money terms, in today's money, it will just be a quarter of what it is. I would say that think of when you think in terms of what you get, you are very clear in terms of what you are likely to get. I'm not very sure that the accumulated value will be 74 lakh rupees, whether it's going to be a very precise number. But assuming it is going to be, you'll be much better off. Think in terms of buying adequate term plan, buying adequate insurance protection cover for yourself, do an evaluation, and that insurance will cost you a very small sum of money. For 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 rupees every year, you will get that coverage, and the moment you don't need it, you can let it go. You can stop paying the premium, as and when you have been able to prepare yourself for the protection. As your investments accumulate, once you have built your assets, you have your home, you don't need that large insurance. So achieve your, get the protection independently, and then make your investments independently, so that you can evaluate your investments. Are they doing okay? And there I think that, this kind of return is very low. On a 20-year basis, you should assume risk. You should invest in equity and accumulate your investments over a 20-year period, and maybe have substantially more money.
Okay. Sujata writes, are there any mutual fund schemes which invest in commodities and forex?
No, there are no mutual funds which invest in commodities, and you don't have or forex. But there are funds which are dollar denominated. You look at all the US Opportunity Fund or the Nasdaq 100 fund. You put your money in rupee, and the money gets invested in the US market, in US stock. And so if rupee depreciates, those funds benefit. So in that sense, they are denominated in other. You invest in rupee, the money is invested in some other market, in some other denomination, in some other currency, and when you redeem your money, that money gets redeemed, translated into rupee, and then you get it. So in a way, you get the foreign exchange exposure through those international funds.
But would you recommend?
Yes, I would recommend them, not for this reason. Rupee will depreciate against dollar over a long period of time anyway, till we have the difference in interest rates. The real thing is that the reason why you invest in a mutual fund is to gain diversification. Investing internationally should be integral part of one's portfolio. If you have any portfolio, I think 20-25% of that should be invested abroad, because our jobs are here, our investments are here, or our investments are into mutual funds or are in companies which are in India. De-risking ourselves from that, and also the quality of company, the kind of investment universe that you get by investing in some of these funds are phenomenal. They are global leaders in which you are able to participate. And incidentally, right now, if you look at some of the international funds, they turn out to be the best performing funds. The best performing fund available to Indian investors happens to be the US funds. Every dog has its day. In that sense, you will have the cyclicality. Indian equity was the best performing, or Indian equity funds were the best performing fund last year. But things change. So don't. You should have it for the right reason. You should have it and have a long-term time, investment time frame.
Okay, we take the next question. Where should I invest for a short-term goal which is falling due in 2 years? Says Anita.
Short-term debt fund, and look no further. Don't take any equity exposure 2-year time frame is not something where you should be taking any exposure, and that too, which is a non-negotiable one.
Okay. Jay says, would FMP be an ideal debt instrument in the current market scenario?
FMP will always be a good investment option if you are sure of your time frame and the yields are high, and which it is today. Today, debt, bond yields are high, are reasonably okay, and then you are able to lock in. And if you are disappointed, if you are willing to compromise, because FMPs are a compromise on liquidity. If you want your money in between, you will not be able to get it. Okay. So you are settling for that.
It's kind of locked in.
It's kind of locked in, and you though there is a theoretically there is a liquidity there because they are listed, but there is hardly any liquidity in the market. Okay. So you get stuck. So if you are sure that you are unlikely to need this money in between, FMPs are a good way for somebody who can optimize return, and also you are insulated from this whole volatility. It doesn't matter. You invest your 10 rupee, and if it is going to become 13 rupees or 15 rupees in a certain time frame, whatever happens in between, you don't care.
Okay. We talked quite a bit about SIPs, and this question is from Naishad, and he says, how much time should one wait before discontinuing an SIP if the fund is not performing well?
Depends. Give it at least 1.5 years. But there are two things of, if the fund is not doing well and if the market itself is not doing well, then I don't think you need to worry, because markets are like this only. Markets, it's important to, and if that particular fund is doing worse compared to other funds, then it's a different story. Then you need to, take a call in a defined time frame. Mm-hmm. But if generally you are disappointed with SIPs because the market itself is in a bad phase, or it has declined in value, or last 6 months you are witnessing that every month you invest and your principal goes down, don't do that. The poor performance of market is a great time to invest. If the fund is doing poorly vis-a-vis other funds of similar kind, then you need to take a call, and that call you should take any time in between 1 to 1.5 years.
Dhiren, thank you so much for answering the queries of our viewers. Thank you so much, all of you. And as Dhiren said, please make sure that you have a contingency plan when you are devising a financial plan for your child. Till we meet next time, it's goodbye from Dhirendra and me, Rajesh Lake. Bye for now.